Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by my esteemed babyface shaving co-host, Brack, as well as Damon, Dawg, behind the mic. Fellas, how we living?
We're living well, hanging out here at Studio K, of course, presented by Circle K. Head over to Circle K here in AZ. The location, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents now through September 3rd. Unbelievable deal for the sweltering summer months here in AZ. Get yourself a Froster. Get yourself a Polar Pop. Lindsey Smith from PHNX Suns, I believe, lives on the Coca-Cola Frosters that are available.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of Circle K. Not slept on Circle K. Everybody knows their greatness. However, I would argue the Cardinals and their offense officially slept on within the NFL landscape, and it's where I want to start today's show. Welcome, everybody. Damn near 100 to kick off the show. Like this video. Friend of the program, Mina Kimes, was on NFL Live today talking up the Cardinal offense, and I'm like, this seems like a good time to just assess where we've been and where we're going as an organization with the Arizona Cardinals, specifically offensively. Because I'm going to be honest with everybody, I've had some slapdicks in my comments basically saying, you know what, the Cardinals are overrated. Vegas has them exactly where they need to be, Johnny. Quit being biased. Okay, we can have that discussion after you assess where the Cardinals were offensively last year at training camp to now, because Brack, we saw it with our own eyes. It is a stark difference, and I would argue today they have one of the best premier offensive skilled groups in the NFL when you combine age, skilled players, how much they're not paying certain players, and, of course, the aforementioned Kyler Murray.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, there's some sticks in the muds out there that lack any kind of foresight looking to the future and can only make a determination based off previous performance.
Yeah.
When, obviously the people who make the big bucks and get, notoriety in this business. And I think slapdicks is a business term that you utilize there. But like Mina Kimes, she's just breaking down as far as the Arizona Cardinals when Kyler Murray returned to this offense, first in yards per carry, first in EPA on the ground. The rushing attack was the top of the league. It was up there as far as explosive plays. James Conner was way over 5 yards per carry. Kyler Murray turned back the clock, even coming back from a serious knee injury. He looked good in the run game as well. Michael Carter was a good complementary back. And now you add Trey Benson to that rushing attack and some really maybe blockers who are more geared up towards run blocking as well. It just establishes what they want to do and be a bully team in the run game, and then what's going to open up as far as this passing attack. Look, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to cater toward those people who can't, see the forest through the trees and where this offense is going. But I think come late September, early October, they're going to see it play out in real time. And they've got the pieces for this offense, as Kyler Murray said, with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. and him being who they expect him to be and a top wideout in this league, that they should be a top offense in the NFL.
I want to do something a little unconventional. Typically, when you're looking at improvements, you have to go backwards to look ahead, right? Isn't that what Matthew McConaughey said? Sometimes you have to go back to go forward. I don't want to do that today.
Is that was that a car commercial that he did that?
Something like that. Maybe selling kiosks or something. No free ads on this show unless you're Circle K. I want to look at the personnel right now this year. I want to assess collectively as a unit here on PHNX Cardinals. Is that a top 10 offense? And then put the children away, hide everybody. We'll put a big explicit content here on PHNX Cardinals. I'm going to show you what they opened up 2023's training camp with, and it could get ugly here. So let's look. I'm going to point. This is a theme today. I'm going to point 2024 offensive personnel. Is this, Brack, on the spot, a top 10 offense in the making? Led by, of course, Kyler Murray, who by all accounts is having a banner offseason. We talked about it yesterday, poised for maybe an MVP year, comeback player of the year, certainly a career year if he stays healthy. Led by K1, he's ready to go. And then, of course, Michael Wilson returns. Second-year pop player, one of the easiest players to project, not only with the Cardinals, but I think in the NFL as somebody who's going to benefit from the year 2 after his rookie season, the quintessential year 2 burst. And then, of course, Trey McBride, the tight end, the solidified playmaker, all-star, Pro Bowl caliber tight end. And then we've got James Conner. James Conner, the actual Pro Bowl player at running back. Greg Dortch in the slot, save the best for last. MHJ is your ex-receiver. Looking at this group as a whole, we talk about it, whether it's 10 personnel, 12, 11, what have you. Is this a top 10 offense on paper, Bo?
This is a top 10 offense with upside. I don't think that anybody should question that. I don't know where you would feel like that it should be lower than that, because that would be a team that is not even delivering what the previous season's expectations set, right? I mean, this was a top 10 offense when Kyler Murray returned to the lineup.
Yes.
And as far as was it up to par to NFL standards, I think that you can say no, especially when you look at in the playmaking department of the wide receiver room. But now you add Marvin Harrison Jr., the best option at X that was available this offseason, and you nab him and you lock him in for the next 4 to 5 years, and then beyond that potentially. And then Michael Wilson, where Jonathan Gannon's saying the biggest jump that these guys can make going from year 1 to year 2 is that the game slows down. And to think about what Michael Wilson can do with that and stay healthy, that'd be huge. And then Greg Dortch, you've seen the next level analytics, his ability to get open, and that he's going to benefit from guys like McBride, MHJ, Wilson being out there, and maybe a defense that's geared up towards the run game. Greg Dortch is going to have probably his finest season. Like, the expectations are high. They should be, because this offense proved last year that it can be a top 10 unit, and that if it doesn't, then it's taking a step backwards, and that's a red flag.
So if we project all of those players to build upon what they did a year ago, right? Michael Wilson has 600 yards. Let's say he goes for 850. Greg Dortch has a comfortable 600-700 yards. And then, of course, we're projecting MHJ 11, 12, 1,300 yards. And then, of course, James Conner and Trey McBride and Trey Benson all get theirs. Like, where are the gaps offensively? Like, to me, it's like it comes down to, I think there's enough playmakers now that you can supplement where Trey McBride can have an off Sunday and the Cardinals can still score 30 points, where that was not the case necessarily at times last year. As long as K1 is the straw that stirs the drink for the entire unit, they can go out and be a top 10 run game production like they were last year. They were 9th in rushing. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And they can put up big points. They can beat you in a lot of different ways. And that's why I look at that offense. And again, we didn't break down the offensive line. I think the offensive line is going to be better than last year. I think they're going to have more continuity. They have better depth, right? I think they have better opportunities to really grind teams out in the second half if they can keep a lead with their defense. But for me, it's just like, I was talking with somebody today. It would not surprise me week 1 if Michael Wilson, not MHJ, led the team in receiving yards against Buffalo, had 1 to 2 touchdowns. And that's not to discredit anything MHJ does, but it just talks about, you look at the options aplenty that were not available for Kyler Murray historically. Like, outside of a couple flash in the pan opportunities with D-Hop and Christian Kirk, what was it? Where was the depth, right? I mean, really, Kyler Murray played at his best when it was D-Hop, AJ Green, and Christian Kirk. And I would argue, long-term, this group's a hell of a lot more talented than that, with all due respect to those players.
Biggest misconception for Kyler Murray, one of the biggest misconceptions, and a guy that, misconceptions surround the quarterback, now going into year 6, but is that he's had consistent playmaking his entire career. I mean, he came into the league, he had Larry Fitzgerald, in the second to last season of his career, was playing in the slot in a brand new offense for Fitz at the time with Cliff Kingsbury. And there was really nobody else in that offense as far as wide receivers go. Then you add DeAndre Hopkins the next year, and in a full season with D-Hop, Kyler Murray, he continues to have D-Hop. He's a 1,400-yard receiver, right? Yeah. And then the next 2 seasons, you get half of the games from DeAndre Hopkins, whether it's injuries or whether it's a suspension. So, no DeAndre Hopkins, and Kirk exits via free agency. There just wasn't any consistency as far as the playmakers were concerned, and there certainly wasn't any consistency as far as the play calling went with Cliff Kingsbury. And I think you'll see that a sound infrastructure from that department with Drew Petzing going forward and Israel Wilfork at the quarterback coach position. So, yeah, I mean, this offense, like you mentioned the offensive line, I think that's going to be the huge key here. I mean, with Paris Johnson Jr. moving over from right tackle to left tackle, and he admitted it during his press availability that he knew that defenses were going to test him last year. And I think that continues this year, that he's going to be tested by some of the top pass rushers that they're going to face on their schedule. And then you're going to have guys that either are the status quo from last year, and you're going to have to hopefully have somebody hold down that left guard spot. But I do like what you said as far as the continuity is concerned, with Will Hernandez, Yelda Froholt, and Paris Johnson Jr. being the returners from last year and being the leaders of that group as well, to kind of pave the way and continue the consistency from that group that everybody really enjoyed for the bulk of 2023.
I'm going to showcase this comment from Steven, and I think it really speaks to our argument here. Don't forget about Zay Jones, Trey Benson, the Tip Man, and Elijah Higgins. There were games last year, I think against Pittsburgh, the two leading receivers were Trey McBride and Elijah Higgins, right? And so the Cardinals have supplemental depth now. And back to my original point, where it beat you a lot of different ways. And Cardinals love 13 personnel. They love 3 tight ends. They wouldn't have drafted a blocking tight end traditionally in the top 90 this year if they weren't going to use multiple tight ends. But then they also go out of sound mind and say, we love Michael Wilson.
Personnel, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of 10 personnel screen me to death, minus 2 yards, and get my wide receiver and subsequently my QB killed. I want to go north and south. But I mean, just Zay Jones comes in, and we mentioned it on yesterday's show. He can be an interchangeable chess piece for every position that they have, the X, the Y, the Z. But you don't need him to do anything in particular other than be that safety net. Like Michael Wilson is the starting outside receiver opposite MHJ. If Michael Wilson misses time like he's been known to do, Zay Jones can step in. If Greg Dortch, let's say, gets banged up on a punt return, guess what? Zay Jones can be the slot receiver that next offensive series. Same thing with Elijah Higgins. God forbid if something happened to Trey McBride. Like, they have so many opportunities now, different ways to beat you, and the continuity, not only in the offensive line, but in the skill player room. Like, we know MHJ, I was watching something recently where, and I think Jim Harbaugh is going to do a better job of this, but last year, just kind of the bumble operation in Los Angeles with the Chargers took a first-round receiver in Quentin Johnston, and basically we're trying to do what the Cardinals are going to do with MHJ. You're an outside receiver, you can run all the routes, and he suffered, right? Didn't have a very good year. Whereas now they're putting him in the slot. They're going to have a very refined set of options for him to run routes, and they're trying to make the most of him as an underneath receiver. You don't have to do that with Marvin. Like Marvin, this is not breaking news, is not Quentin Johnston. He is not limited. He is perhaps the most refined outside route running receiver we've seen in half a decade. So we can feel comfortable sliding him in as the X receiver and say, your route tree is wide open. Like, as special as Marvin is, and you've seen it up close, Bo, from a physical standpoint, like 6'3.5", he's built like a tank. His feet are elite. They are special. His ability, his out routes are phenomenal. And so you couple that now with everybody else, the complementary roles that they're going to have with this offense, just unlocks a new level that should equate, Kyler Murray's health permitting, to a top 10 offense. I don't want to say sleepwalk, but for me, it's going to be hard to look at a box score at the end of any game this year. I don't care who the opponent is, whether it's Seattle, San Francisco, whatever. And the Cardinals did not put up 25, 26, 27, 30-plus points. Like, something dire had to have happen, where an injury, turnovers, whatever, because the pieces are there. They weren't there last year, but they're sure as hell there now.
I asked Kyler yesterday, I mentioned this on the show, from a playmaking standpoint or playmaker standpoint and a play calling standpoint, like, has he ever felt like in his career he's been set up to have this much success? And he said it was reminiscent, and I'm paraphrasing, but of his Heisman Trophy winning campaign at Oklahoma. And he's like, you look at Oklahoma and that offense with Kyler Murray at the quarterback position, CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown at his peak. I mean, just making plays all over the field for him, and in a really rock solid offensive line. And Lincoln Riley, who's one of the top offensive play callers still at the collegiate level, is the play caller there for the Sooners in their run to a college football playoff appearance. But I love the diversity of this wide receiver room. As you mentioned with Zay Jones, Jonathan Gannon saying he's a 3-position wide receiver. So is Michael Wilson. Remember, we were learning about Michael Wilson at this time last year, and he learned every single position that you can in the wide receiver room. And we know Greg Dortch can play all the positions as well. And if you watch the tape on Marvin Harrison Jr., he can run most of the routes out there as well. So I think that as far as the wide receiver room goes, not only does it have, your 3 starters that you're excited about, but you've got, a depth piece in Zay Jones, and you got Chris Moore, who was, I know he didn't play a whole lot for Tennessee, but he was a guy that has the affinity to make a big play. He had over 19 yards per catch last year in limited snaps. So, and if you like Xavier Weaver from Colorado as an undrafted rookie free agent, that's a guy that adds to the room. And Daniel Urias, a guy in his 2nd season coming out of Colorado. So it's unbelievable how Monty Ossenfort has been able to transform this room in just a short year's time.
Yeah. 0 drops last year, by the way, for one Michael Wilson. Charted drops last year. And people are like, you know what? I'm not sure the Cardinals have a true number 2 receiver. And again, this is going to come off like I'm knocking the other wideouts. And I love Greg Dortch, and I think he's a unique player that they can use in a lot of different ways. Like, the Cardinals have, in my opinion, their own version of a T. Higgins-esque type of compliment to MHJ. Like, we all believe MHJ is going to reach that hierarchy of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Like, those are the expectations that come with having Marvin Harrison Jr. But you can't convince me otherwise from what I saw from Michael Wilson last year, that he can't go out and be a productive, consistent 1,000-yard receiver opposite Marvin. Like, if he's healthy and K1 are healthy, and what we saw the projection, if you just take Michael and his projection and his production at the end of last year, that's easily a 1,000-yard receiver. And he's a friend of the program. He's been on a couple times. It's not just because we're friendly with him. I truly believe it. He was one of the most impressive players at offensive training camp last year, with a team that desperately needed somebody to step up and show out. So he is, on top of MHJ, the easiest player to project. If you look at the Cardinals at the end of the year and they finished 7th in total offense, and you ask, Johnny, what happened? What was the pop player? I would say it's Michael Wilson, because Marvin's going to get his, Kyler's going to get his. But if you look at, okay, who is next up to eat this year in 2024, it's Michael Wilson to me.
Well, who's out there at Saguaro High School catching balls from Kyler Murray? Who's a guy that Kyler Murray told the media yesterday that he could rely on to pick up the phone at 3 a.m.? I can't rely on my co-host to do that. I don't know any answer in my life that would
not disturb.
But our Stanford man, Mike Willie, is poised for a breakout, and he's going to do everything within his power to do that. And you saw that, and he broke down the intricacies of where maybe the struggles were when they had that couple game stretch where they were 0 for 8 in targets and him pulling down receptions, and then boom, they connect on a 2-point conversion and then a touchdown, and then a nice yardage game in the regular season finale against the Seahawks and Michael Wilson. So what did Kyler Murray? This was a quote from him about Michael Wilson. He loves this shit. He lives to play ball. It's love ball, like Jonathan Gannon likes to say. That's the type of player that they're bringing into this organization. And Kyler believes that, Michael Wilson's got a long career ahead of him. And I really think that he's going to kind of establish himself, maybe make himself a household name outside of Arizona this season with K1 healthy.
Yeah, it was over the course of about 7 quarters, I think. After Kyler Murray and he had that miscommunication, was the pick 6 against Philadelphia. And Michael had come on our show and said, Kyler could have just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to go a different direction. And he kept looking to Michael Wilson. Over the course of the last 2 games, Kyler and Michael Wilson, 10 of 12, 12 targets, 10 receptions, 130 yards and a touchdown. Again, against Philadelphia, playoff team, and Seattle, who had a winning record. And that was after earlier in the season, he had a stretch, I think, with Joshua Dobbs, where he was perfect through 2 games. Dallas and San Francisco, he had almost 160 yards. So he did it with multiple quarterbacks. We talk about how you have to have a relationship, a refinement, a cadence, a rhythm with your QB. He had to do it with 3 quarterbacks last year, 4 if you count Colt McCoy. And that perfectly segues us into hide your young ones, right? We're gonna break down the Cardinals 2023
If
offense.
you've eaten recently, maybe sit down. I don't know. Try to find yourself something to
maybe a cold washcloth.
Yeah. This is gonna be ugly.
But before, hang on real quick. So we've got it's popped up real quick here. I want to preface this by saying this following. You're going to see an offense that it was the starting offense in training camp, and for most of the preseason, that still, despite this, finished 19th in total offense. 19th. The New York Jets would kill for that. 19th in total offense with Drew Petzing and 4th in rushing. This unit eventually led to that. Damon, Dawg, let's see it. The 2023 Arizona Cardinal offense this time last year. Okay. Michael Wilson, we mentioned, earned a spot, even though everybody on outside of this podcast was saying it's going to be Zach Pascal. It wasn't. It was Michael Wilson. Then it was Hollywood Brown, out of town, signed a 1-year deal with Kansas City. Rondell Moore, who was traded for a backup quarterback. Zach Ertz, who literally respectfully could not move last year and basically had to be cut midseason. James Conner, who's fantastic. Colt McCoy, who was QB1 the entire offseason, and this was the only podcast with the gusto to say, get this guy out of here. He cannot throw the football anymore. And then he was subsequently cut, and then they traded for Joshua Dobbs. And then Keontae Ingram, I have no idea where he's at. He was RB2. This was the offense that was earning the large majority of reps. I know Ertz was coming back from injury, but for the most part, this was our ride or die unit that eventually led to, with some of these players gone, the 19th total offense last year. How about it?
Man, the 2023 Arizona offense. It's that was something, man. I mean, Colt McCoy, who's in the podcast game now like we are, and it's not it's less than a year later. Zach Ertz, who's planning to come in the week 4 as a member of the Washington Commanders, but never really legitimately resurfaced after, they mutually parted ways last season. And then, you mentioned Rondell Moore, who was our guy Trevor Sikkema said was just basically working on his cardio last year when he wasn't running gadget plays for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's really a testament to Monty Ossenfort, Drew Petzing and crew, and rebuilding this thing on the fly and finding some building blocks in Wilson and understanding that James Conner, how much he has left in the tank and what is going to make him thrive. And then getting, Kyler Murray, bringing him around correctly, putting him back in the lineup in week 10 and setting himself up not only to kind of knock the rust off and get the reps necessary last year to, hit the ground running in the 2024 offseason for a big, upcoming season.
We pride ourselves on trying to be accurate on this podcast. And I feel like we did our audience justice this time last year. We basically hedged our bet that Colt McCoy could not play anymore, that Zach Ertz had no business starting over Trey McBride, and that Rondell Moore should not be playing over Greg Dortch. All of that aged pretty well.
Yeah.
And so we'll toot our own horn, toot today.
Yeah.
On
You're
this.
Louis Armstrong with that. I mean, and you should, right, because you were big on McCoy. I mean, I was saying McCoy over Tune, but it was just, I think I understood that Tune, just as a 5th round rookie coming out of a non-Power 5 conference, wasn't ready either.
Isn't it wild? Tune started more games than Colt McCoy, 1-0 for the Cardinals last year. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You go back and watch those archive videos here at PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports on YouTube, and just I just couldn't fathom what we were seeing. It was unthinkable. It had never been done in the NFL where a guy who couldn't throw during practice was going to go and lead a team. And now we know 9 games in until Kyler Murray came back. It was a special kind of ass that we saw last year. I love these comments too. Ozzy221. This ruined my love for the sport. That's certainly a take right there. That offense. Valley Boy 14 called it hot trash. Cardi D, the vomit emoji, and then Ozzy, Rondell Moore is so trash. And then people asking, Bo, did you relieve yourself during that graphic on the screen? So a lot of good stuff happening.
Relieve myself.
Yeah, basically throwing up.
Yeah, I felt ill. That's for sure. Couldn't avoid it.
Yeah, it's come a long way. And now I think, again, good to have Monty Ossenfort in the fold. Didn't take him long. We had to endure that for about half a season, if that. And Cardinals now back in a big way. We're back in a big way. We're going to be joined by our new beat reporter, Craig Morgan, here in a hot minute. But first, I want to tell everybody about our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. Craig Morgan, he's money for us. Desert Financial can be money for you. It's the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They've got a team, folks, of financial experts who are committed to their members and their community, helping to level up your financial acumen to achieve your financial goals and dreams. And again, you got a checking account, you're happy with that, maybe a savings account. They do all that and more. Mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, it's the only place to show your team spirit with our precious Redbirds. Rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit. Open up a free checking account online. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card today. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Takes a matter of minutes to open up that checking account. Debit cards in the mail a couple days after the fact. Desert Financial, helping financial solutions to make your life better, Bo.
We're going to bring Craig on here shortly, but it's overdue that we get the new gang together, you, me, Damon, Dawg, and Craig, and go out and get some piping hot queso and some patio beverages over at our favorite place, Illegal Pete's. Many Valley locations, including that Tempe location. Legal Pete's margaritas, strongest in AZ. Can't beat that. Plus those irresistible drinks, mouth-watering food. How about bowls, tacos, salad, burritos, and nachos, custom cocktails, and those patio beers, tough to beat when the temperatures rise up over 100 degrees. Find the closest location for yourself, and also check in on their sound check deal. So if you're going to take it at an event, take your ticket stub to Illegal Pete's pre-concert or game, or post-concert or game, and show them, and they're going to give you a drink, a beer or house margarita for just a penny. I mean, that's with the purchase of an adult entree to redeem the sound check deal, but it's a smoking deal. Takes us back to our college days where you're getting drinks for a penny. Those kind of deals don't last any longer. They only exist in our dreams and at Illegal Pete's. Check it out now. Find more info at illegalpete's.com, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer.
Here's our buddy, our newest beat reporter, insider, Arizona Cardinal team reporter, Mr. Craig Morgan here of PHNX Cardinals. His most recent banger of an article, a healthy, happy Kyler Murray is cause for optimism, is live right now. Go PHNX.com. Craig, how we living, my friend?
More importantly, how are you living, Johnny? Because you just got back from Hawaii, and I hear reports that you have moved into a gated community as well. So
we
you are
don't need to
living
be sharing
large
that
right
on
now.
this broadcast now. We're doing all right. We're doing okay. Your boy's doing fine. I did lose my Shady Rays to the ocean. I broke down that story yesterday. So I've since used our bonus code to order a new pair. But I spent this morning reading your article about 1K1, and I thought it was interesting. You know, Bo mentioned earlier in the show Kyler Murray having the sense of comfort that he has not had really since Oklahoma. And it's really poetic. It's like, okay, Oklahoma has their act together with Lincoln Riley. Then he comes to Arizona with maybe some not great people in charge. And it's taken upwards of 4 to 5 years. And now he feels that comfort level again. Oh, I wonder what's changed. Maybe it's the people around him.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, not just the personnel, but of course the relationship with the coach, with the GM, all of that matters. You hear a lot of optimism this time of year, right? I said this in the story. You get that from just about every team every year, and you're like, okay, yeah, I've heard this 100 times before, but what about this, and this? You listen to Kyler talk yesterday. Bo was there. We talked about it after that session, and I think everybody in that room came away like, wow, that was different. It felt different. It felt like a mature guy talking, a guy who had been through some shit in his first few seasons in the NFL. And now he's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. He's seeing what it can be. And he's learned so much from all that adversity, really. It just sounded like a different person. And again, these are just words, but it did feel different. And then when you talk about the people around him having changed, I don't think optimism is unwarranted at this point for this team. I think it is warranted.
So, I mean, in your opinion, what do you think would be fair for, this franchise quarterback, that big money extension now kind of kicking in? It's the first year of that deal from the previous regime. Like, I don't think it's unfair to put, in a second year of a rebuild, high expectations on this team and their quarterback.
Especially in this league, right? We've seen this happen so many times with teams. It's not like, listen, I just got through covering, I don't know what that was with the Arizona Coyotes, but it was perpetual rebuild. But it doesn't take long in the NFL's. If you get some key things right, we've seen a lot of quick turnarounds in this league. As we talked about a little earlier, Bo, the margins in this league are so small. It just takes a couple plays or a couple changes in personnel, and you can go from a 4-win team to suddenly being a wild card team. I don't think it's crazy at all to talk about that with the Arizona Cardinals this season, particularly with the pieces they've added on offense.
Craig, you covered this team in much of Larry Fitzgerald's heyday, but I
Thanks
think
for making me feel old, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I'm here to do that.
Craig, you were here with Buddy Ryan, right?
Tell him he's got say has 30 years experience.
Let's talk about Don Coryell. Who else can we bring up? Jim Hart? No, Larry Fitzgerald is the standard. And I think we look back, though, and we forget, and like Larry's admitted this, early on in his career, albeit at receiver, he was concerned about other things like, hey, Kurt Warner, get me so many yards in a game. Like, he's admitted that, right? Yet with Kyler Murray, everybody was quick to jump on this kid. And I emphasize kid who's drafted by an organization that has never won consistently before, who immediately makes them relevant. But all we want to do, like I bring it up all the time, Craig, Bo and I were on Super Bowl Radio Row last year. And everybody here locally in the Valley and everybody externally wanted to take a shot at somebody who just blown up their knee after playing in a playoff game the year before. Yeah. Like, I just feel like Kyler Murray, for whatever reason, is not given the kind of grace that other professional athletes are given within this market. And we have a very select memory with that. And I wonder, you've been around this market for a long time to be able to dissect every kind of different era, not only of Cardinal football, but Arizona sports. Like, have you ever seen anything like this before?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Jody Ayler about this earlier. You can't think of another guy who's been under the microscope like this. And I think there are a lot of factors behind it, right? Social media wasn't around, as you mentioned, indelicately before, Johnny, when I was covering the team previously. I just think the glut of media covering the NFL right now, the expectations, just the constant microscope. There's so many narratives out there, and I think it was Kyler himself, Bo, that said it the other day. You nitpick everything, right? Mm-hmm. You can build all these narratives. I'm not sure if it's fair that early in a player's career. Yeah, he had a catastrophic knee injury, but what about what it looked like his trajectory was before that? We remember those first few seasons. This guy was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, right? He showed some great promise early on, and there were a lot of factors outside of his control that might have derailed that temporarily. But it's not like we're talking about a guy who's been in the league 10 years now where we can say, yeah, you know what? It's over for Kyler Murray. Move on. He's coming into his prime now, and he finally has the pieces around him, the health, the peace of mind, the maturity to maybe put this all together.
Yeah, I mean, you have a ton of great quotes from his availability yesterday. I thought one of the ones that stood out was when he was answering Darren Urban, and he pretty much opened it with, it's just the natural maturation of things, right? And I think that's key for Kyler Murray, that people just completely just disregarded when he's in his early 20s and he's coming off, being in one of the best football programs in the country, goes number 1 overall. And he brings his immense skill set to an organization that now we're seeing was in complete disarray, and he was still able to accomplish those things. But along the way, through all that, through the trials, through the adversity, it looks like he's really kind of developed, as many people do, and some people don't, but into a pretty mature, budding leader.
It's funny how that works, right? You go through some adversity in your life, you actually mature. You actually learn things. You actually get better at your job. I know there's such great expectations placed on these players these days, right? It's insane what's expected of a player immediately. If you step into the right situation, like a Patrick Mahomes, sure, you can have instant success, but he didn't have that situation here. Let the guy mature. Let the guy grow into it. We're nowhere near the point where you're ready to say, yeah, Kyler Murray is not going to be the guy you move. I had someone in my Twitter mentions today saying it's time to move on. They should have moved on from him already. Well, how can you make that judgment based on what has been here? Yeah, here we go. It's nice to have that, I got to admit, some sort of expectations about the team I'm covering.
That's interesting because I do want to ask you this because you have fresh eyes on this team, and I think that's one of the best things that you're going to bring to not only the Go PHNX articles that you write, but this beat in general. And you've been out to a handful of practices. You've witnessed with your own eyes this team, which has come a long way, Craig, from last year to this year in such a short time. We just broke down the offensive improvements that they've had. Has there been a player that has stood out to you, maybe outside of the usual cast of characters? Let's put Marvin and K1 off to the side for a second. Has there been a guy that stood out to you? You're like, holy shit, who is that? He's impressive, that you're anxious to watch on football Sundays this fall?
I don't want to disappoint you with this answer, but I don't take a lot away from OTAs. I have to be honest. Guys are running around without pads on. I want to wait at least till camp before I can give you an answer, but I will give you an answer to that. I promise eventually. What I will say, and Bo and I have talked about this as well, as a beat reporter, we're pretty simple people, actually. We have very few needs.
Very simple, yes.
We have very few needs, and one of those is just hoping, of course, for access and hoping for good quotes. There are so many good personalities on this team. That's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to diving into the stories behind some of these players because they seem open to it, and that's a great situation to be as a beat writer.
What we're one of the, just get back to Kyler. One last question about that, and I highly encourage everybody to check out the article. Go PHNX.com. As far as one of the many quotes that he made, what did you take as one of the more genuine and ones that kind of made you feel like you did when you wrote that story, that the reason for optimism might be more legit than, you know, having somebody win a press conference like he did yesterday?
It's hard, Bo. We were talking about this. It's hard to settle on one. He was just so introspective and candid throughout that interview. It was the big picture, really. It was the entire process. When I was sitting there listening to him, there were some great quotes, and I think those are in the story, but you get a feel for through body language. You get a feel for the answers that he's giving, how much thought he's putting into them. He just sounded like a really mature guy and a guy who's ready to take that next step. Again, you can't do that without the pieces around him that you guys have talked about, whether it's personnel, whether it's the relationship with Jonathan Gannon. A lot of things have to come into place before a quarterback can have success in this league. And there's so much weight on the quarterback's shoulders in this league, of course. But he just sounds like he's thought about it. He's been through it. He's ready. He understands the process now. He understands the ways it can fail. He understands all the crap that can be coming at him. He's learned from it, and he's ready to move on. He's excited. He felt energetic. He really felt reinvigorated yesterday when we talked to him.
It's what you want to see. I mean, we've come a long way from him not speaking with Cliff Kingsbury throughout the first 3 months of the 2022 NFL season. He's Craig Morgan, our new fabulous beat reporter here on PHNX Cardinals. Craig, we're fired up to have you over the course of the summer into training camp. And again, I can't wait to get your opinion on this group, because what Bo and I have been slumming through, and the PHNX Cardinal faithful, with some of these games. I mean, we won 8 games in 2 years, and now it feels like the rebuild hopefully is coming to a rest. I want to get you out of here on this question, though. We had everything to go down with the Coyotes. Very unfortunate, right? The Suns underperformed. Diamondbacks are in a rut right now. How much does the Valley need the Arizona Cardinals to step up from a sports perspective?
Big time. Like when I look at, like the Coyotes are gone, so you can't count on them at all anymore. The Diamondbacks, I don't know what's going to happen with the Diamondbacks yet. They got to get healthy. They have a good month with their schedule, so
they got some time.
They might be able to, they might be able to recapture it. I don't want to say this to Suns fans, but we might be a year away from a full rebuild with this unit. I already think that window's closed. Some of the people around this team don't want to hear that. So when I think of teams that are definitely on an upward trajectory, and you combine that with just the media circus, the attention that is always on the NFL, it's king. It's king in most markets. This team has a real opportunity to capture the Valley's imagination. And this market needs it desperately, because what have we had in the past? What have we had to date, guys? Not much.
Johnny, Craig's already had a great moment in the press room. You're humbly, introducing yourself back to the Cardinals media room and its new staff and players and coaches alike. But who was it, the player that kind of turned your question back on you, and you were like,
oh no,
was that Paris Johnson Jr.? You asked him a question, and he said, well, what do you think? And you said, well, people don't care what I think.
And that's the truth. And I want to make that part clear, by the way, coming onto this beat. Nobody cares what I think just
Oh,
yet. So
that's
now,
not true at all.
don't say it. I'm going to write stories. I'm going to do what I do, but it's going to take me a while to get up to speed. In the meantime, I'm going to be riding these two guys' coattails because you guys have built an unbelievable following on this show. So really, really happy to be a part of this.
Thank you so much, Craig. I can definitively say in the short time you've been on this beat and the article that you've churned out, it is night and day difference, with all due respect to anything that I've read Cardinal comparable in this market from at least my time here at PHNX Sports. So thank you so much, Craig. We'll have you on. Where can our viewers find your phenomenal work and your Twitter handle?
Of course, go PHNX.com and at Craig S. Morgan.
All right, Craig, we'll talk to you soon, my man. There he goes.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Craig's the best. He is the goated here. And I think he's right. I think that Paris Johnson Jr. probably does want to hear from us. And so we'll let him know quickly. Maybe we can get Paris on the show. That'd be good.
Paris is all over the place, man. After mandatory next week, that's where we go into, Mount Rushmore season, where people are just it's the slowest time in the sports calendar. And
that's when the show's going to get extra weird.
Yeah,
that's when the show.
You think the 999 glizzy conversation and stakes and all that stuff, if you're already sick of that, just buckle up, because next week it's going to, as Johnny said, it's going to get gross.
It's going to get real gross. Speaking of gross, we're going to talk about Big Dom here in a second. And Damon's going to get on camera. But before we do that, I want to say the opposite of gross is our friends at Circle K, because I'm going to tell you what's gross: paying for overpriced gas that is not doing the job when you can get the job done with America's thirst stop via our favorite friends at Circle K. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups with the Inner Circle membership program for free. And after those first 5 fill-ups are done, save 3 cents per gallon every single day. Thirst, you meet your match, as my co-host mentioned already. It's worth repeating. Polar Pops, Frosters for just 79 cents. So I had to be educated. The Froster is like the Coke Frosty, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, which is fantastic. Who doesn't love that? Those are fantastic.
Yeah.
Get that for under $1 here in Arizona. That's worth its weight in gold. And it's not limited. This is going all summer, baby. Now through the end of August. September 3rd is the last day. So we got all summer to live it up with just 79 cents Polar Pops or Frosters. All you got to do, sign up, become a member of this Inner Circle with Circle K by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Tough to beat that, but speaking of more good things, great things, how about our trip, PHNX Cardinals field trip from wherever you may be in these great United States, going to Miami with our friends at True Fan Travel, while the Arizona Cardinals take on the Miami Dolphins in Skinny Tua at the end of October. Join us October 25th through 28th. We're going to see the Cardinals take on the Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium. Our trip package includes round trip flights to Miami, charter bus transfers, hotel stay at a popular Miami hotel. And I'll tell you, we've seen some pics of the hotel. It looks unbelievable. Great view of the ocean. A welcome event, meet and greet Cardinals alumni, all-inclusive tailgate party, and also round-trip transportation to and from the game, plus your game ticket. Cards v Dolphins. You don't want to miss that road game. Head to truefantravel.com. Get all the details you need in order to make this decision, but it's an easy one. Join us at the end of October. Deposit. You'll get your deposit. You'll hold your spot for the trip package to allow the best access for you can book flights, hotels, ticket upgrades, and more. But True Fan Travel is doing all the heavy lifting for you. Head over to truefantravel.com/trips. Book your spot today. Our guy Damon Dawg is going to get wifed up on this trip. We're going to have a booze cruise as well. It's going to be elite. Don't miss out. Do not delay any longer. Get your deposits in, and then we'll just figure this thing out the rest of the summer. And then we are going to have an unbelievable time at the end of October 25th through 28th, 2024. Head to truefantravel.com/trips. Trips brought to you by True Fan Travel. Sign up for these road trips. They're live while spots last.
Spots are at a premium. Get them now. Can't wait to flip and go to Miami with all of you. I can't wait to check you guys out in the super chats right now. We've been holding them off on them because they're aplenty. Let's get them going here. Jason, $2 super chat. Bird Gang Faithful in Texas, checking in. Hashtag hold the line. Jason, thank you so much. We're going to get to the captain, the CEO of Hold the Line, Damon Dawg, in just a little bit.
Did you see Jason's ribs? He
my God,
posted ribs
fantastic.
on Twitter. He said, Johnny, I know you're a burger guy, but check out these ribs.
Listen, I like all kinds of meat. Burger was just my go-to on that Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
To honor those we had lost. But yeah, put a big slab of ribs in front of me.
That's so lame that you just added that on the end. Like,
I use that so you can't come after me. We all remember in different ways.
Yeah.
Sam, $4.99. Thank you so much, Jason. Hopefully we get to party with you, my friend. $4.99. Sam. Johnny, how much did you pay Alex Clancy for the Bo Brack hit piece? I'm guessing Sam's questioning what's going down with Clancy going after Bo for not finishing his steak. That was authentic. That was organic. I did not Venmo Alex Clancy anything. Supposedly, Clancy said that Bo didn't finish his steak. Bo is basically saying that he just left the fat on the plate.
No.
So, I wasn't there.
That's the only thing I could think of, but it's a filet. There's no fat on filet. That's the whole cut of the meat. So
you and Clancy went out to dinner one time. That's more surprising to me.
It was when I was living out of state and I came in to watch the Cardinals Thursday night game, the game where AJ Green didn't turn around in the end zone. And maybe I puked, maybe I threw up in disgust of how that game ended. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But here, basically, at the end of the day, Clancy are no longer on speaking terms.
I didn't think Clancy ever left his kitchen anyway. Like, I was like, did you eat the steak at his kitchen counter?
He ordered to go from a fancy steakhouse. Somehow he finagled a gift card from there. And he was being a sweet guy for the first and only time in his life.
Shocking.
Yeah, and we ate steaks and watched that game, and it was supposed to be Kyler Murray's big moment. And AJ Green ruined it. And now Clancy's somehow found a way to make it worse.
I was in the press box for that game, shameless flex. And you know how they always say, like, don't celebrate in the press box? The Packers had their executives in the press box for that game for whatever reason. We're jumping up and down, like hugging each other when that pick happened.
Gross.
Like it was the Super Bowl. It's like, come on, guys, class it up a little bit. You're the Green Bay Packers. I would have thrown up my steak, but I didn't have any that day. Blow Brock, $1.99. Okay, Bo, you can stop mewing. We get it. You shaved.
All right.
Looks good.
Damon, you got a couple degrees. What's mewing mean?
I actually had to look this up the other day because someone accused Johnny of it. It's like when you clench your jaw.
Just trying to keep the jawline looking. Sure. It's just being deceptive.
Bo's got the smolder on lock. He's got to he's got to empty out the bag a little bit.
Yeah. It's when you I was rocking for me a pretty heavy beard, and anytime you trim and you feel like you don't have a chin, so I might be pushing the chin out just to feel like I've got a better jawline.
You sent me a photo last night with a Fu Manchu and your wife with disgust looking from behind you. I wish we had that photo on this show today. Why didn't we upload that?
I wanted to do mustaches for Marv, and I got shut down.
Wow. Yeah. No, I don't have to ask that permission in my household. Damon and I we can just do what we want to do. Blow Brock, $4.99. Me and my brother Bo are doing the I love you bet, the hashtag I love you bet. I bet him that Marv will have over 1,500 yards. Damn. And he's taking the under. Loser buys OGs. Good stuff. Wow. Blow Brock coming at you hard.
Look, he's going to bet me that Marv is going to go over 1,500 yards. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, even if I take the under, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is still going to have a fantastic rookie of the year.
What I would ask you is, why do you hate Marvin Harrison Jr.?
That's a great question.
I was wondering the same thing.
Damon asked us both that during the whole line
you guys
days.
have hated him since the beginning. You've never liked Marv.
I got called into my living room today, and my son said that you could purchase now on Madden. They have these cards, these virtual cards, player cards for Madden 2024. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s player card is available now. And so, there it is. Madden 2024. There's Marv, 99 overall, which, again, tracks 100%. Agree with that rating. So then we got on the phone. Again, we're doing the poor people at the team store in Glendale. My son calls every day. Where is the Marvin jersey?
Oh,
and they said, please stop calling. We don't know. So there's your breaking news for my 9-year-old son. Marvin available in Madden, not available to purchase his jersey.
You're joking. They didn't really tell him to stop calling, right?
No, they didn't. No, they're good people there. But they said the jersey's not available. They don't know when it's coming in. But you think this is like a Fanatics thing that's holding this up?
No, I honestly don't know what's holding up, but I'm blown away by all those 99s on it. Damon, you have to explain that to me. I haven't been on the Madden streets for a while.
Yeah, I was trying to explain it to Bo before the show, but like it's on Madden Ultimate Team, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you have to unpack these cards and get lucky, or spend a bunch of money to get these cards and get lucky, or spend coins to get these players. So this is like a limited edition Marvin card where he's like all of his abilities are obviously boosted.
I just love how you started that sentence. I had to explain it to Bo. It's like I had to teach my grandpa how to use Microsoft Word. That's what it sounded like. I didn't know what that was.
That's mine and Bo's relationship.
No, but
here.
put that back up. I mean, as excited as I am for Marvin Harrison Jr. So if you get this card, you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and team, and then you get him with all these attributes. He's 99 speed, 99 jump, 99 catch, 99 catch in traffic.
So he's like next year in Madden 25, when they come out with it, they're going to have a base Marvin Harrison Jr. card where he's going to be like an 83 overall.
Never.
And then when he has like a 2 touchdown performance in 120 yards one week, they're going to be like, this is a showcase moment card, and he's a 93 on this card. And so they have like special cards like that, and this just happens to be one of them.
Special cards for our special boy. Yeah, 90. He can be a 99 tomorrow. I have no issue with that. Illadre, $1.99. Glad to have you back, Johnny V. Thank you so much, Illadre. It's great to be back. Love my friends here on PHNX Cardinals. And it was tough. It was tough to be away. As much as fun as I had in Maui, this is my home. This group of people right here for this 90 minutes every day. We appreciate all of you. Sports hero.
I saw a tweet that came out when you were supposedly on vacation.
Yeah.
From
allegedly
Mike F. Florio in his fantasy podcast that you were on there, gassing up Michael Wilson. I'm like, no way, Johnny took time from his vacation.
No, that was recorded before.
It was. Okay. So you just needed you to confirm that you're not that.
I just do so many hits. It's hard to keep track of them all. I know you can't relate, but yeah, that's just, sometimes that happens. Sports Hero, $3 super chat. Cliff and Kime equals Jesus. That's a little political.
Somebody forecasted, was it Shane that forecasted yesterday that somebody's going to super chat and Johnny's going to Ron Burgundy it and just read it on air? And
I caught myself there. Sports Hero, you got a Cardinal question or a comment, you don't have to pay for it. We'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
But we'll try to keep this non-political the best we can, my friend.
Let's jump in, keeping going with the super chats. Our guy Osmar, 102, 199. And this is Monty's first year's future looking good. Absolutely. Monty Ossenfort knows how to build a team so far.
The fact that like we're even having a conversation about like the Cardinals, number one, making the playoffs, top 10 offense, when there were people nationally, and we had this conversation on the show, is the Cardinals team the worst collection of talent in NFL history? Not in the NFL. That was predetermined. The Cardinals were 37. First of all, Carolina was predicted. They had their over-under last year was 8.5 or 7.5. The Cardinals were easily the worst team by pundits going into last year. And now it's like, oh yeah, Kyler Murray can play a little bit of football, and they've had a couple of good drafts. Hey, maybe this team's pretty good. That's a testament. Ossenfort, to me, he'll be the unsung hero of this year if they make the playoffs, 100%.
Well, you got people saying it like 6.5. It's right around or take the under. It was like, where did other teams got better? Other teams, like, yeah, if you're just going off of past performance and like, if just because a team spent a ton in free agency, or it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be better. Like, inevitably, it happens every year. Guys bust, draft picks bust, there's bad free agent signings. It doesn't all just go chalk. And every move that people made was the right move. I mean, it's just a ridiculous idea that every team got better and the Cardinals are just going to be stuck behind them for eternity. It's an absurd take.
Anthony Richardson, who, by the way, has significantly better odds to win comeback player of the year, injured again at Colts camp. And people are like, everything's fine. Nothing to see here. He could play in a game tomorrow. It's like just Cardinals just going about their business with their one asterisk-ridden primetime game on ESPN Plus this year, brick by brick, layer by layer. We're under the radar, baby. But yeah, Osmar, Monty's the catalyst for sure. Merv, my guy, $1.99. How about this? Despite the hit pieces that Merv puts out, he thinks he's getting an invite to the housewarming BBQ at the Venerable household. Merv, That's a hard no, my friend. How dare you think you're going to put out those glizzy hit pieces on your boy on Twitter, as finely produced as they are, and still think you're going to roll up to 123 Johnny Street? No, thanks, my friend.
Oh man, the house that JV built. It's I mean, Damon and I, we're just hopeful that we might get the invite there.
Damon's looking good. Damon's looking good.
Man, tough.
Bo, I might need your truck to move a few things. Well, I'll keep you on speed.
Maybe then. Can you imagine watching Johnny cruise around in my truck?
I have a hard time getting in and out of Bo's truck, and I've made that clear to him that when he's like, I have offered to carpool to the facility, and I'm like, I can drive. I have a Mazda. Let's get my Mazda. And he's like, no, just hop into my truck, bro. And I think he secretly likes that it's tough for me to get in and out of his elevated truck. He's got what they call a lift. He's got a lift kit on it. And I think he's trying to keep eye level with the offensive line. He's like, hey guys, you see my truck out there? And I'm just like, come on, man. Can we just be beat reporters?
No, it's not lifted. It's stock. No, it's not.
It's a big truck though.
It is a big truck. Yeah, it's a
man's
sport
truck.
Yeah.
A man who finishes a steak.
That's right.
What are you hauling around in that truck? Takes? That's all you got. You're just hauling around your takes.
I got the whole truck bed just filled with hot takes. Just 2024 cards, hot takes.
All right. We'll get back to the super chats here in a second, but we do need to talk about Big Dom, who's a friend of
Big Dom
of this podcast. So Bo, you pointed this out on Twitter today. Big Dom got a promotion. His Big Dom head got a promotion with the Philadelphia Eagles. Mark Galafalo, Adam Schefter, they all said he got a new title, senior advisor to the GM, Chief Security Officer, game day coaching operations. Now, I look at this as a fraud way of getting him on the sidelines permanently now that he's not just Nick Sirianni's boy. What do you guys make of this promotion?
What do I make about this picture? What is Sirianni doing in this picture? Is there becoming a more unlikable franchise than the Philadelphia Eagles right now? I agree with you. I think that this is just a way to shoehorn Dom back on the NFL sidelines, something that the other 31 organizations should say this is the most absurd thing ever. And to get a title change of senior advisor to the GM, chief of security, after he was out there and he put hands on an actual NFL player during a game. I mean, what are we doing?
The Eagles have become one of the most, if not the most unlikable team. And it has nothing to do with the actual players on their roster.
Right.
Think about how crazy that is. Yeah, Jalen Hurts seems like a great guy. Devontae Smith is likable. I don't have any problems with these dudes.
Saquon, the players are paying the price for how incompetent Sirianni is. There's going to be a mutiny on hands this year. Like they start, let's say like 3-4, like 2-4. That team's going to implode. There wasn't a worse team at the end of last year, I would contend, top to bottom, outside of maybe Carolina, than Philadelphia. That team had quit at the end of the year. They quit against Tampa Bay. They got smoked in that playoff game.
Yeah. Well, and then what's coming out of Miami is Vic Fangio exited, and the defensive players are throwing a party basically that Fangio's not there. And Philadelphia was, with open arms. It was, grass is always greener on the other side of, the failure attempts of coordinators to replace their Super Bowl coordinators and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. But you're bringing in a recycled Kellen Moore off a horrible stint in Los Angeles with the Chargers and Justin Herbert and with those receivers. And then also you're bringing in Fangio and you're painting it as these are your saviors for Nick Sirianni. I mean, and the excuse that came out in the offseason that Sirianni struggled when Dom wasn't there was the most laughable report.
He's not a grown man.
You're not. That you need somebody.
He helps him tie his shoes in the morning.
Well, you joke, and we're going to joke here during this segment. We did not see Sirianni without Big Dom in Indianapolis, whether it was at the combine, at bars downtown, on the street, at restaurants. They were always together.
4 times. Like it's it was in Mobile too, Johnny. We saw him in
man.
Mobile walking around on the sidelines during one of the Senior Bowl practices. And Nick Sirianni's on the field, and who's 10 feet behind him? Big Dom at all times, attached at the hip.
This is a real story I'm going to tell. It's a short one.
Okay.
And we might have video from our interaction with Big Dom at the combine in Indianapolis, but we're out there on Radio Row, and what separates Radio Row from the press conferences with all the GMs, the head coaches, and the prospects in Indy is a curtain. Just a normal run-of-the-mill curtain, one fabric curtain that just goes across a huge convention center sized room. And we're there on Radio Row, and then comes around Sirianni and Big Dom. And Big Dom, trying to make sure that he's getting, earning his paycheck that day, is scoping out the area and literally comes from around the curtain and then goes to said curtain and peeks around it like he's doing some sort of surveillance.
Like he's in the Secret Service.
Yeah. Like he's getting all the intel just in case somebody's about to pop out of a curtain at an NFL event to come get his guy, Nick Sirianni, who's doing a couple, interviews on Radio Row. It was one of the most absurd things I've ever seen.
I'll tell you what, I didn't feel safe. And then I saw that, and all of my worries went away.
Damon, I need you to break down the Eagles front office for me, please.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to pop myself on screen.
Are you prepared to talk about the radical changes outside of Big Dom that they're making to the front office right now?
Yeah, I actually, there's been some huge moves that they've put together, the Eagles here. Well, first off, I wanted to say that Big Dom, he was the fourth name listed on the football operations staff portion of their website. Howie Roseman is number one for just a barometer.
That tracks.
They have him as fourth person listed on football operations staff.
Dom?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like me on PHNX Sports website. It's like Saul Bookman, and then I'm right there.
Yeah, no, literally, it was Howie Roseman, the two assistant general managers, and Big Dom fourth. I think other titles that Big Dom should have bestowed upon him: Chief Cheerleading Officer, Director of Babysitting. I think that's a big job he has. And
Adventures in Babysitting.
What'd you say?
Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I mean that's not. I didn't get that one.
No way.
Oh man, Bo got it.
Lead mascot manager. That's a huge one.
What about
team mascot?
What about Chief Hoagie Inspector?
Yeah, that's not bad either. But yeah, like you said, Johnny, the Eagles have made some other changes to their front office staff.
I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so they're adding a lot of key pieces that are really going to kind of catapult this future run here. So first one we got here, Meek Mill. They're bringing him on as director of scouting. Welcome to Philly, Meek Mill.
That's big. That's a big title for Meek Mill.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one we got here, we got Shane Gillis is the director of analytics.
I think he was a Kime guy once upon a time. I think he was one of Kime's disciples.
It's going to bring some levity, I think, to that front office. I mean,
yeah.
You got to find a guy who's one of the best joke makers in the world right now to make up for the biggest joke in the NFL and Big Dom.
Absolutely. We got kind of really similar to Big Dom. I'd say that, he almost provides the exact same role as Big Dom. So, they go kind of hand in hand together. But when you have both, you can really create a huge, duo there. And that's the Philly Fanatic. He's the director of football operations.
This graphic is so absurd.
This needs to go up on PHNX Cardinals Twitter as soon as it's possible.
We'll tag the Eagles too.
This one, I think it might be the most impactful, and this is the one that really has gotten Eagles fans super juiced recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's Director of Player Development, Rocky Balboa. I mean, what a move.
I don't even want it to be Stallone. I want it to be Frank Stallone, his brother. I want to get off-brand Sylvester Stallone, aka Frank Stallone, to be dressed up as Rocky, and the players are like, something's off here. This isn't right.
Hey, you.
He told them the workout regimen that they were going to do this offseason. He was going to throw medicine balls off of their stomachs and make them drink raw eggs. And the Eagles were sold. They were locked in. And then the last one that we got here out of the new hires that they've made, this guy. And he's the director of lifestyle development. He's kind of a hero in Philly, and people want to be like him. They look up to him. So
he's got the Muppets tattooed on his stomach. So I think that tracks with everything you've said.
That's Gritty and the Fanatic, right?
Gritty, the Fanatic. And then I think he needs a big Dom, like right kind of in the middle, just to kind of put the trifecta of those three mascots together. What do you think?
I think that might have been like a big Dom before his being hired with the Eagles organization.
Yeah.
It literally, they might have picked Big Dom out of the stands and found a guy who looked almost exactly like that and said, "You want to be the chief security officer, bro?"
I did not know how much Damon Dawg despised Big Dom until we encountered him at the NFL Combine this past year. We have some exclusive footage that never before seen outside of the PHNX Cardinals Discord. Damon Dawg reacting to Big Dom in the wild. Let's go ahead and see it, Damon.
We might be able to finally get him banned for life if we were able to do that.
Damon talking shit to Big Dom. You're in.
Get your scumbag ass out of here.
There he goes. Oh, he just gave you a glare, Damon.
I hope he probably knows.
Said he's ready.
He probably knows about me.
You ain't got no hit. You got to be able to dance around. You win. No hit. No.
I might be his top one hater in the world, right? Am I number one?
Yeah, I hope so. If you're not, you need to work towards that.
Number one there.
It's a good thing Dom's here because Sirianni otherwise would probably get out of line.
Since 1985, and quarterback play, I get all
Damon's heart stopped for a second. Uh-oh, look out. Look out.
Me and Big Dom. I think I'm his number one hater in the
I
world.
wouldn't let you find it.
He's like 6 of me.
He's like 6 of me.
Exclusive footage from the NFL Combine. You know, I had noticed after watching that video again, I forgot Sirianni was even in that clip. And then now it tracks with everything that we've talked about. It's like, of course they were together.
You're not going to see them separate. That would be ridiculous.
Oh, man.
Did you hear Sirianni trying to trash talk Giants fans, which is, one of the franchises you could truly just punch down on, just how they got Saquon Barkley, basically saying, "Hey, we got your best player." I mean, Barkley, he's played 2 full seasons in his career, but and they go out there and give him a 3-year, close to $40 million deal.
I hate the Niners with all my heart, but I've seen comps to Barkley having a renaissance like Christian McCaffrey, and I'm like, Turd McGurd at Sirianni and head coach is not Kyle Shanahan. I don't think we need to break any news there. Like I like Saquon Barkley. I hope he does well, but I don't expect that kind of renaissance. I'm going to ask you this, and we'll go back to our super chats.
Yeah.
Is it a possibility we look back in like 5 years and Sirianni is the worst head coach to appear in a Super Bowl? Not only appear in a Super Bowl, but like be a quarter away from winning it, especially if Steichen and JG get their teams to the playoffs. I think there's a real chance we could be saying that.
Yeah, it is pretty unbelievable how quickly this Super Bowl window with such a talented young team that they had offensively and defensively could slam shut with how they really dropped the ball and kind of rehiring those coordinator positions and how ill-equipped, I mean, credit to Sirianni back where he would just delegate and let Steichen and Gannon run their respective units and how well they did it. But man, it is going to be a tough look. I don't know if you could definitively say that, but he's in the conversation.
Let's get back to the conversation happening with these super chats. How about this one? Mike Snorio, $2 super chat. Mike Florio with a Karen haircut. I'm a closeted Cardinal fan. Well, welcome, Mike Snorio. It's great to have you on the show, and I hope this isn't the last time we see that fine-looking dude you got there.
No, that is an elite hairstyle, that's for sure. No, I like you said, a hairdo. That's perfect. That's a perfect way to describe that. How about Topic 64?
Wow.
Friend of the show, 1999, very generous super chat. Welcome back. I'm ecstatic that the O, like everyone else, we got to talk about the D. It used to be when teams wanted to score, they knew which DB to throw at. Teams won't have that luxury anymore. # no more scoring on us at will.
I hope you're right. And I just hope that the defensive backfield will have an opportunity to get their hands on the football because of some errant throws. And to get errant throws, typically you got to get some pressure. So I I have very little concerns about this secondary. I think
Yeah.
Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, the young corners that they have are doing a really nice job. I think the biggest question mark, not only on the defense, but the team is just who can consistently get a pass rush. But nobody better than Rallis and Gannon to be able to orchestrate that, Bo.
As we pay close attention to that pass rush, and we certainly will with like BJ Ujulari and Zaven Collins and that entire crew, and a lot of continuity coming back from a group that didn't produce at the end of the season. Like, I am legitimately, I think it's an under the radar competition as far as how that secondary is really going to kind of settle in before the start of the season. And I think it's going to be a work in progress even when that goes. But these are handpicked players from Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, to where I think that you should have confidence that between Garrett Williams, Keitrell Clark, Starling Thomas, and the new group this year with Max Melton and Elijah Jones and Taylor Demerson, like a couple of those guys are going to be able to play, and they're going to make some plays and pick up some passes for the Cardinals. But you're right, up front, that's going to be key as well.
Our friend Saint Shitbag is back, $4.99. Now that JV is back, all the slander against our Shitbag brother will be addressed. Was there some slander at your boy when I was gone? How dare you?
No way.
I would expect it to be very clean and respectful to your boy while I was jet setting to Hawaii.
Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
Nothing was said that we wouldn't say to your face.
Well, that doesn't make me feel any better. I don't like that at all. Richard in the chat, $1.99. Sorry, JV, but the show with Britton Golden was dope. No apologies here. I love Britton Golden. He's part of this beat and this program. And listen, if you had an opportunity like we have, been very fortunate to talk shop with Britton Golden. One of my favorite things to do during the NFL season when we were at BetMGM or Gila River or wherever was to watch early games with Britton Golden and gamble on football, and it just makes you smarter as an NFL fan. So no apologies. Very fortunate to have BG part of this beat.
Had a blast with Britton the other day in the studio. He's hanging out with myself and Damon, Dawg. The crew was nearly complete. Watching the video of us in Indy, Britton Golden being back in the fold was awesome.
We're going to run it back this fall, plus one Craig Morgan. You talk about a super team we're fired up about. I'm fired up about this one. Griffin, $4.99. Go Celtics tonight, NBA Finals. I'm a diehard Arizona Cardinal fan from Boston. Awesome. I also run Griffin's Weather Consulting. Love this pod. Longtime watcher. Well, awesome, Griffin. Good luck to your Celtics tonight. Good luck on the weather consulting industry. Hopefully rub some good mojo on our precious Redbirds if the Celtics win the series tonight. Or kick off the series.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to just butt in there.
Yeah.
Griffin, thank you for the super chat. I hope the Celtics lose in the most horrific and painful fashion possible.
Why is that, Griffin? Why do you feel that way?
I just hate the Celtics and everything they stand for as an organization. And, I think, honestly, genuinely, like Big Dom, Celtics, like probably top 2 least favorite things in the world.
Wow. Okay.
Get the checklist today on today's show.
Is it lame for me? It's like, I just hope we have a good series and everybody has fun.
Yeah. That's like me saying hamburgers on Memorial Day weekend. That's the equivalent right there.
I mean, it's tough here in Suns country for anybody to stomach Luka getting a title. But it is also with like Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like I wouldn't mind like the conversation to continue to be ongoing. It's like, can they ever do it? So they would have to lose in order for that to happen. And Kyrie and Luka would have to win.
I think what gives me hope as a Suns fan is that we've gotten a new champion. This will be like 7 years.
We just lost Griffin, by the way, as a listener with this conversation.
Oh, Griffin's a friend of the program. I'm going to be straight with them because I'm not going to dance around it. I'm not going to say,
I'll root for the Celtics. I'll root for the Eastern Conference.
Oh, it's sad, Johnny.
It is sad. I'm a sad boy, but now I'm not sad because I have a shot to access the number 18 collection at gophnx.com. Shipping the week of June 10th. Again, can't get a certain number 18 jersey in Arizona, but you can shop the 18 collection right now, like myself, Brack, Damon, Dawg, and more at gophnx.com. The PHNX merchandise locker, the sweetest shirt we've ever made, the MHJ in the center, plus Maserati. Marv, how about a little touchdown math? 1 + 18 = 6. Certainly this fall, that'll be the case at State Farm Stadium. Hells yeah. Pick up all that and more. Become a diehard at gophnx.com. Get a free t-shirt. Every year you're a diehard. Plus you read the many workings of our talented peers, including PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan 80+% of what's on the website is free. And then that sweet 10 to 20%. Got to become a diehard. Plus, you get all the exclusive diehard content, PHNX Cardinals Discord, the membership card, and more. The 18 collection, the hottest collection of all things, number 18, available now at the merchandise locker. Bo, shipping next week.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be beautiful once these 3 T-shirts arrive on my doorstep. I can rock them on a daily basis here on the show in heavy rotation. Plus our PHNX Cardinals Rising T-shirt that's also available. 4 brand new tees for one of your favorite pods if you're tuning in. Don't miss out on a chance to get it right now. Also, don't miss out on a chance to join us in Miami. TrueFanTravel.com/events. That's the best way to find more info on that. But it's been a banner show. Great insight from the newest member of our beat, Craig Morgan. It's a great to have Johnny back on for a second consecutive day. We'll wrap up another big week tomorrow. Already have a little bit of content that we're going to be talking about Jonathan Gannon and where he falls in some coaching rankings. And more before this team wraps up with mandatory minicamp next week. And I think we'll have some pretty exciting news actually tomorrow about.
We're going to be able to break that tomorrow?
I think so. I think we're going to have that all locked in next week. We got a great thing going down in the middle of the week that I think is going to be great for all of you out there that tune in on a daily basis.
A nice little nugget. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Subscribe to the pod. We drop audio-only pods every single week. Go to wherever you get your pods on your mobile device, smartphone, whatever you want to call it. Type in PHNX Cardinals. Hit that follow button. Again, load up PHNXSports.com. For Damon, Dawg, Craig Morgan, and my co-host, Bo Brack, I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back on a Football Friday. Peace!
We all silly like the mayor.